Hello, so today's session we're going to do boeuf bourguignon, and I want to talk a little bit about beef. This is beef we're going to use. It's actually from our farm, and I just want to tell you about choosing good beef. So what you're looking for is this deep red colour. You don't want a bright red or a pink, you want a sort of deep red, sometimes almost purplish colour. And then you're also looking for, you want it to be sort of dry but shiny looking. That's a sort of good beef. And to touch, quite sort of springy to touch. And the other thing you're looking for is marbling. So marbling is these little white bits of fat that run through the beef. That keeps it moist when it's being cooked and nice. And another nice idea is to have some fat on the outside. The reason for that is not so much, you can cook it for, instead of using oil, but you don't necessarily want to eat that, but it shows that the animal's been reared well. Ours is reared, grass reared, fed on pasture, over 30 months because it's a breed that doesn't mature very early. And I think you'll find it's probably as good as you could get, at the risk of being perhaps less humble than I might be. Okay, so we're going to start with this, and first thing, I've got the wine on to boil. You want to have boil that, bring it to the boil, and then maybe flambe it, or if you don't like the idea of that, just boil it for about 5 minutes. Meanwhile, we're going to cut these into fairly big slices, so sort of braised beef type slices. You can do it smaller, or you can, I think we just prefer to have a piece of beef that you can cut into. So I've taken that bit off, we might use it for cooking. And I'm just going to cut that to another bite size, another piece that you can eat, a portion. And the same with that. And maybe you want to take out, if there's any bits of sinew or gristle, you can take that out. A lot of it will cook down though, because it's long, slow cooking, this. We don't want quite that much fat, and we'll take that bit off as well. There we go. And put those in here. I'm not sure that my knife's the best. I might try and change that in a minute. There we go, that's that. Last piece, while we wait for the wine to boil. And then this needs to be marinated overnight. So I'm going to put it in for a few hours, because obviously got to get this video done today, and it needs to, yes, but you can use it overnight. It's rather nice if it's had a whole evening, a whole night time, whole 12 hours of marinating. That's one bit, and the last bit here. Again, of course, I'm assuming that everyone's washed their hands. I forgot to say that. Wash their hands, clean the kitchen, clean as you go, because actually your very generous offer of cooking for the family won't be greeted with quite the enthusiasm that you'd hoped if you don't clean up after yourself, if you leave a terrible mess for everyone else to clean up. So clean up as you go along, that's good. Now in this beef I am putting some bay leaves from the garden, garlic, it's not from the garden, and some thyme. This is just for the marinade. There we go. Nice bit of thyme, some nice garlic. Smush the garlic, and then some thyme. And put your wine. I'm just going to sort of flambe this. You don't have to do this. It depends if you feel safe about doing it. There you are. So I've set it alight. You ought to try and get a picture of that. There we go. You can't really see, but it's flaming away. There should be a good few flames. There we go. That's it. And then, when that's finished flaming, I'll blow that out now. And pour that. It's not going out. Pour that onto the beef. It's still got a few flames there, but it's in control. There we go. Very nice. And that stays and marinades for, as I say, 12 hours. Right, we're ready to carry on with our boeuf bourguignon. Now, a quick word about the safety before I start. I'm assuming again that you wash your hands and they're nice and clean. Now, yesterday you may have noticed that I put out the flambéed flames with a tea towel, which is really not a good idea. Can I just show you what you would do if that happened again? So if you had flames that you feel are getting a little out of control, then you would use a lid, metal, glass, something that's not flammable, and put it over the top, and then they would disappear. Or, indeed, don't do the flambé, just boil the wine for some time. Okay. Now, what we've got here is, I've taken the beef out of the marinade, I've dried it off. Normally you might use kitchen roll, but I've run out, so I'm using a clean old tea towel, which works probably better actually. And in here, in the oil, we've heated up the oil, sunflower oil, and I'm searing, not stewing, searing the beef. And if I just want to show you what it looks like when it's been seared. You see? So if you overfill the pan, you get it sort of stewing or braising, which is not what you want. In this instance, you want it seared, so it'll be browned off. Okay, and that's another reason why you want to, you know, keep it dry, get the marinade off before you put it into the hot oil. So those two are done, and we'll just carry on with the rest of them. Here we are, in they go, two. And not filling the pan probably means in a big frying pan, no more than 2 pieces each time. As I say, it's so easy just to sort of think, oh, I'll slip them on in and get this done quicker. But actually it doesn't work. You don't get the searing that you want. And the reason the searing is important is because it's that develops the flavour. There's a lot of flavour in that sort of caramelised, seared exterior. And that will give the stew or the boeuf bourguignon a better flavour at the end. Okay, we'll come back when I've done all the rest of it. Okay, so now the beef is all browned off, as you can see, all seared, and there's a nice taste going on there, and the smell is delicious. So now with these vegetables, they just need to go in a little bit. So again, give us the same treatment, just a little bit of browning off. We can do this while we talk. That's right. And then they'll all go into this casserole and into the oven. So we'll start putting this with the juices that are coming out and all the yummy bits in the pan, in the frying pan, into this big casserole. Now, once they've fried off a little bit, if we just put a little bit of flour in there, just to thicken the sauce that comes from the meat juices, a little bit, there we go, maybe a tiny bit more. Don't want too much, otherwise it's like brown Windsor soup, rather nasty, thick, unpleasantly thick, but that should be the right amount. So now there's a browned off. Put those in the casserole as well. And then get all the nice tasty bits from the pan. I can show you here. So scrape the pan, as long as you haven't burnt it, which hasn't happened here, then all those bits are lovely and they all add to the taste. But what you can do is just do what we call deglaze. So just run some liquid through that and get all the little bits of taste from the frying of the meat. Oops, I sloshed a bit. There we go, that should do. And put that in here with all the herbs, the thyme, the bay leaf and the garlic. That's great. Now that can go in the oven for about 4 hours, I think. Let me just check the timings. Timings with an lager, as you probably know, are not entirely straightforward. Let me just see. 3.5 to 4 hours. So that's at a temperature of 150. So that's probably the same temperature as mine actually. So you can put it in for, I'm going to check it in 3 hours and then maybe see if it needs a bit longer or a bit more fluid. Okay. Right, now we're going to finish off the beef. First of all, I've fried off these bits of pancetta, unsmoked pancetta, just bacon lardons is another word for them, and get them nice and crispy, and they go on top before serving. And then I've taken out the beef portions with the carrots and I've put them in a separate casserole dish, and we're going to just mush up the rest of the vegetables into the sauce. The sauce is thick enough actually, it's quite unctuous and delicious and thick enough, so I don't need to reduce that. That would be another thing that you have to think about doing if it's too watery, but in this case it isn't. So you can either put this through a sieve or you can just mush it up with a potato peeler, which is what I'm doing. Or you can put it in a food processor as well. Right, in the bacon lardons, if you then add the onion, this is to go on the top, and get them nicely browned as well. And that will just take a few minutes, I think. And then when that's done, we've just put the button mushrooms in. I use chestnut button mushrooms as well because I like the flavour. It's a bit more to them. Now, in the lovely gravy juices, if you'll put just a teaspoon of tomato puree, and that will help, again, just thicken up the sauce. Make it rather nice, just a bit richer. That's very nice. Right, then pour this sauce, just check it. At this stage I want you to check the seasoning. We put salt and pepper in before, but just check it now and make sure that it's that it tastes right, and that it tastes nicely salted and peppered. Let me just taste that now. Be careful not to put a licky spoon back into the pot, so if you do that, then you don't spread your germs, particularly in this. Yeah, very nice. So that seasoning's correct on that one. Salt and pepper is right. There's nice flavours of garlic, and it's all pretty tasty. Now with this, when you've got a little bit of brown on the onions and the pancetta, if you just put the button mushrooms on as well, fry those, and that goes on top with sprinkled cut up parsley before serving. It makes it taste nice. Okay, so gravy sauce over the casserole, and that will be ready to put in the oven when you need it. We'll be eating this tonight. and hopefully they all think it's nice. I'm going to leave this off for now and I'll show you later what it looks like when it's on. But if you just fry that a bit more and get a bit of colour on the onions, and the bacon's already had the fat rendered down, that's important because it's not very nice having sort of flobby fat, I don't think. So just a bit more cooking there, a bit more colour, and then that will be enough, and I shall show it to you in a minute. Okay, so now we have the finished product. I've put the chopped parsley on the top and the onions and pancetta and the button mushrooms, and I think that looks quite appetizing. I hope you agree. Now you can eat this with a French baguette or a baton or creamy mashed potato, whatever you like. Enjoy.